Okay. So we're recording. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my share. Yeah, so we did the Constitution. And we analyzed for doing a SMART goal. And he's just, okay, so. So I'm just going to do it. Start off with a quote from Dave Coleman's favorite person. If you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. So for our inclusion activity, it's not going to be a guided meditation or something like that. I'm just going to ask you a question. Do you know what we're doing here? Can you describe the PLC process? It's not going to be a waterfall chat. I want complete confidentiality. So we're going to launch it as a poll. Do you know what we're doing here? Yes or no? Like, let's say a teacher stopped you earlier this week. It's like, what do you guys do in this PLC? What is this? Like, what is the PLC process? Could you explain it? I mean, do you know what we're doing here? And be honest, you know, I until I started, putting these meetings together, I had no idea what the PLC process is. So do you know what the PLC process is? Yes or no? Wait, hold on a second. I put the wrong poll up. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I can't. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, let's start this again. Okay, do you know what the PLC process is? Do you know what we're doing here? See, only 12 people have voted. Okay, I'm going to end the polling in a couple seconds here. Has everybody voted? We only have 14, 15, 16. Yes or no? I'm not going to call on anybody. I just want to know if you guys know what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to end the poll here. Can you see the results on your screen?
No.
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 Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, so, actually, I'm surprised how many of you do know what the PLC process is, but a fair number of you don't. So you've come to the right place. That's actually one of the first things that we're going to be doing here is the PLC process. We have an agenda that Mr. Alcaraz is going to drop in the chat right now that you can reference if you want. It has like a minute-by-minute accounting of what we're going to be doing here. And hold on a second, I'm having problems. The Zoom navigation part is always getting in the way here. Yeah, let's take a look at this. So we have the 4 PLC questions, and we have our objectives that we're going to do here. We're going to talk about the process. We're going to analyze the SMART goals and come up with persistent strategies, and we're going to produce a SMART goal for our persistent strategies at the end. And then we have our meeting norms. Does anybody want to read? Can you guys see this? Does anybody want to read our norms, our meeting norms for the PLC? Any volunteers? Anybody?
Oh, this is Monica. I'll read them.
Okay.
Number 1, we will use our time well. starting and ending our meetings on time. Number 2, we will divide team tasks equally among members. Number 3, we will make decisions only with everyone's ideas and votes by consensus. Number 4, we will give others the opportunity to talk. We know that silence does not always mean everyone agrees. And number 5, we will respect, accept, trust, and care for each other. We will help and encourage each other to be better, and we will disagree politely.
Thanks a lot, Monica. That was great. Yeah, and I guess with number 1, addressing what Mr. Nagara said earlier, we'll start the Zoom, we'll open up the Zoom room like 15 minutes earlier so people can get on, and we could start, exactly at 1 o'clock. We started a little bit late today. Staying. Yeah, so we're going to describe the PLC process. We're going to revisit some persistence data, and we're going to talk about strategies to increase our persistence, and then we're going to select a strategy and create a SMART goal at the end of the session. But first, I just want to have a brief CCAE state conference debrief. I actually didn't hear a lot of great things from teachers that I talked to informally, but the first day back, I saw Miss Hilton walking around with a crown, and she told me that she tried out something that she saw in Holland McAllister's presentation. I don't know if any of you know Holland, but he apparently had an envelope stuck under one of the seats of the attendees, and then the attendee was asked to open the envelope and come to the front of the class, to front of the exhibition to be celebrated. And I just thought that was a great way to, select a student for activity. And Miss Hilton had the idea of, there was a student that she knew that was going to have a birthday that day. So Miss Hilton, are you here? Do you want to take over briefly, tell what you did?
Yes, sure. So I attended, I attended one of the workshops with Holland McAllister.
Yeah.
Yes, which was, his topic was engaging English language learners with tools and activities that work across remote and hybrid classrooms. So I took the idea from him because he opened the workshop with inviting, like Mr. Wise said, he said, one of you have an invitation under one of your seats. So I'd like everybody to look under your seats. And this guy had the invitation taped under his chair. So he had him come to the front of the classroom and placed a crown like this. This is what Mr. Wise saw me with walking around the classroom. So it was a crown like similar to this one. It's at the 99-cent store, guys, $1. And so I brought the idea to my classroom since Mother's Day was the weekend prior. And I have about 20 students in my class, but I have only one girl. So I put the note under her chair, and she was my guest, or the guest for the students. And we celebrated her for Mother's Day. So I thought it was a nice way to, start the class, and I think everybody enjoyed it. And aside from that, I played the song Celebration Time, come on, by Kool and the Gang. But what was interesting about the song is that it was sung by different children representing different countries across, around the world, like Argentina, Spain. They were singing and playing different instruments. So I thought it was a nice way to introduce the student. And she got all teary-eyed. And it was for Mother's Day as well as her birthday was that month. So I thought she enjoyed it.
I also saw an excellent presentation by Paul Young. I heard that Samantha Ross gave a great presentation. And that was a great thing that you just did, Ms. Hilton. It's just a nice little thing to choose a student.
Sure, and it can be an activity for any other occasion as well.
And and I had like a little mini epiphany that I saw. I saw a presentation on simultaneous teaching. Simultaneous is when you have Zoom and in person at the same time. We tried it last year with Mr. Pimentel's class, but it didn't really feel like simultaneous because we only had one student coming in on Zoom. So it didn't really feel like two classes at the same time. And Mr. De La Herrera did it last summer, but it was Spanish high set and he was using a high-end camera. And I went to this one, this guy is Dave Lynch, I believe his name is, from Covina. And this is his setup. This is basically his setup when he does simultaneous. He has, here he's at the lectern, but if it was in his class, he would be on Zoom, seated, and that's where he is on Zoom right now. And you can see on the screen right here, that's his Zoom screen. And the students, the in-class students, are on Zoom as well. So for the teacher, you know, there's really no difference between doing a Zoom class and a simultaneous class like this. And that's why, you know, when I was thinking about simultaneous, I thought, God, it's so hard to be like a multi-level class, but instead of 2 levels of Spanish, you know, knowledge, you have 2 levels of delivery. You have the in-person and the Zoom, and how do you balance the two? It just seemed really complicated and an added burden on the teacher, which is why the union has been against simultaneous teaching. But here, oh boy, hold on a second. But here, it would be that for the teacher, it would be exactly the same as a Zoom class. For the students who are at home Zooming, and here Lynch had his students from Covina in on the Zoom, it's no difference, but it is a little bit different for the students coming in and Zooming because they're in person, they have face-to-face with the teacher, and they have face-to-face with other students when they're doing pair work and group work as well. So I just thought this was kind of like an epiphany for me because it doesn't simultaneous teaching, at least done this way, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be done with the equipment we have. And, you know, it might be something that, you know, our current Zoom classes students might appreciate because they have the chance to maybe go to school if they can't come every day. It may be something that we can use in our upper level classes that have low enrollment. And then I went to a second one, but that's Bob Proctor, and he does the same thing, but it's a citizenship class. So in a sense, you know, when you're doing a simultaneous class, it's really kind of like a Zoom class, but bringing the students in person in the Zoom as well. So it's really not balancing two things. And you're really kind of a DJ, you know? And when I talked to Mr. De La Herrera, Adam, about it on Monday, we were talking about, yes, exact same thing that he was doing last summer, except that he was using this fancy OWL camera, which caught his every move, which, you know, he was pretty much sitting the whole time. And that's his screen back there. He had students come in person, which you can't see in this picture. And they came every day. Now, Adam, are you here? Are you on the Zoom, Mr. De La Herrera?
I'm not here, Mr. Weiss. I'm not here.
Well, I just want to ask you a couple of things. So first of all, did you really, you know, using this setup in retrospect, you returned the camera, you had it like for 30 days and you returned it. It's like, it cost thousands. Did you need this camera? And two, you know, when I was talking about this to another teacher, they were like, well, why would students show up anyway if they can Zoom? But you had students show up. I was wondering if you could speak to those two things.
Yeah. So first of all, no, we still have the camera. We didn't return it.
Okay.
Ms. Rodriguez has the OWL locked up in the vault somewhere.
Yeah, this is an OWL right here.
Yeah, the meeting OWL. So we still have it. But yeah, why wouldn't they just Zoom? Well, because there's a lot of students that don't want to Zoom. Like I don't know why people don't understand that. There are students that only want to be in person. And maybe it's as an advisor, I hear it, working with ESL and academics, I hear this, like just students are like, look, I want to be there. Or they say, I can't study because I got the kids at home. Or you know what, I've had trouble before. My attention span doesn't work. There's just a lot of things I've heard. Anyway, it's probably the most equity-driven model that is to be able to offer something for our students that want to be online, because maybe they're fearful as well. You know, there's some still that are, you know, concerned about showing up. Some of them just can't do it. It's just easier than maybe hopping on the bus. They'd rather Zoom. But then there's others that, like I said, we have a lot that say, no, I just want to be there. I don't want to. We actually have students say, I don't want to take classes online. Call me when you're back, when you're open. And we had quite a few of those. Anyway, but the point of the idea, or that I shared with Mr. Weiss, it was really easy. And actually, I think a better analogy is not even so much DJing. Probably the best analogy is if you guys ever watched a concert live, like from home on a computer, because that's, you know what, when a band is up there and they're filming it and it's projecting on like Facebook or whatever, they're not really worried about that camera being on them. They're still doing their thing, right? And they're still performing. And that's kind of what it was for me. I was still doing my thing, and I was just teaching to the students there. And the camera was there, just happened to be picking it up. Now, I did have mostly students on Zoom, but I wasn't really talking to them. I was talking to people who were giving me facial expressions and asking, well, everybody was able to ask questions, but they were there able to interact. So no, it's a really cool thing. I actually think, I'm not sure if you got any of the pictures there, Huntington Beach, I got that idea from Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach did it a year ago. They showed it to me, and apparently they've doubled down. They're going like full on tech classrooms, 4 screens or whatever in a classroom. We didn't get that far, but yeah, it sounds like they've really doubled down on it, and it sounds like it's a good idea. Last
Adam,
thing is,
Adam, were the students that came in person, were they on Zoom or were they doing were they on Zoom too, or they weren't on Zoom?
they were on Zoom, Gary, and the reason being, so that's that room where I was in, that's Gail Brody's old room. Chris Shaper said, hey, why don't you do it in there? We got all these really nice computers. So I ended up incorporating that. And that's kind of the stuff that Mr. Weiss is talking about, where we don't need the owl. You really only need the camera on your computer, because if the students are on Zoom in the classroom, and if they're on Zoom, you know, at home, they're going to be able to interact with you still.
Right, because if they weren't, then somebody would get shortchanged.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And now, when I did the meeting owl, that was before we were planning on having a classroom with computers. We didn't think we could even get one of those secure, and we did. So yeah, the models of the pictures, I believe, that Mr. Weiss is showing are people who just have their camera, and the students are in a classroom with their whether it be phone or computer, doesn't really matter, right? But that's really more so that everybody, whether they're at home or in the class, can hear what's going on. So if the student in the classroom is asking a question, the Zooming student, then because they're all on Zoom, they'll all be able to hear, they'll all be able to know what's going on in the class.
Yeah, because if they weren't, you can't just stick a camcorder in the back of your class, and you know, then if you're on Zoom too, only the Zoom people are going to see the
Right.
you know, it has to be all access, or one of the groups will feel like second-class citizens.
You can't see it in this picture, but Lynch has a microphone. The people who are Zooming, they're on mute, and their volume is turned down, so there's none of that feedback stuff. But they're caught on mic because Lynch has a mic that catches everybody in the room. So, and you know, we hear about, like, there's a ton of laptops coming our way. So classes like this could be very feasible. In fact, I think we have enough laptops now. So if we wanted to now, we could do a class like this. So, I mean, I just thought it was really interesting. I think it's something that we could institute. It could provide better flexibility for students. It could maybe improve enrollment in some of our classes as well. So I'm just planting that seed. That's it. Does anybody else want to say anything about CCA?
Can I add one more thing? And I've actually had arguments with the union, being chapter chair here of AFOC. Hello, everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Adam De Loera. So just recently, I had an argument there with UTLA in our meeting. And I'm like, guys, you know, as a teacher, and this is why I did it over the summer. So I told them, look, I did it, as Mr. Weiss said, Spanish high set. I love teaching Spanish high set. You guys, for those of you who know me, that's kind of the thing that I teach, right? But as I shared with the group, the chapter chairs, I said, look, guys, being able to control my numbers as a teacher, okay, to me, that's really important, because I don't want my administrator saying, hey, you know what, Mr. Lara, we need to move you to ESL 2B. That would stress me out. I don't know. I don't want to create new curriculum for everybody, or even say to me, hey, you know what, your class is low. We're going to have to change you and split you or something, you know, move around your schedule. So for me, as I told the union, guys, This gives me a lot of power. I don't want people moving my class if they don't have to. I'm just going to share that with everybody else. For me, the idea was pro teacher, pro control, being able to have your class. But anyway, there are some differing views with our red banner there, but I wanted to just be honest and let everybody know why I do. For me, it was a great thing, and to this day I'll still do it. I might get into fights with the union, but whatever. I just don't want people screwing around with my schedule.
Yeah, just to echo kind of what Adam said, I love the simplicity of this. We all have experienced Zooming. I mean, if we did something like Huntington Beach had smart boards and $8,000 in each classroom, that would be a burden on the teacher in a sense, because they'd have to learn all this new technology. But this is something that we could do now. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I'd like to make one point. I think a lot of students who want to do only Zoom would also love to come in for one night or 2 nights to get the technical stuff down, so they're not quite so lost. You could show them in the classroom how you do the Zoom meeting, and then it'd be fine for the rest of the class, staying at home.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Does anybody else have anything to say about this or CCA in general before we move on?
Yes, this is Mr. Costa, Mr. Weiss.
Hi.
I did teach a class in the summer, and I had in-person students, and I also had online students. And it was very interesting because the older people that didn't know how to use the computer, they did show up to class, and I was able to help them through the process of how to get into the meeting. So that was nice. And another thing, but is that they said that their husbands worked at night, and they needed to sleep in the morning, in the daytime, so that they needed to go to the classroom to go and get classes. But something negative that I encountered was that there's so much interference. If the student would sit close to me, they would have to be like 10 feet apart. If not, they would, I couldn't hear, and there was so much interference.
Were they using headsets?
Yes.
Well, yeah, again, with Lynch's thing, with the computers that are in here, they're on mute, all the volume's down. So if anybody's speaking, it's only going to be caught by the mic that Lynch has here. So there's really none of the interference problem that you're talking about when he does it like that.
Yeah, that's a great system with the microphone.
Okay, well, anybody else want to chime in or CCA debrief before we continue? Okay. Let's talk about the PLC process, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. This is, I've been going through the Google Drive for LUC to find all this stuff. This is what I found, a definition of the PLC process. Who wants to read this for us? Anybody?
I'll do it.
Okay, Ms. Costa.
The PLC process. Members work together to clarify exactly what students must learn, monitor each student's learning, and on a timely basis, provides systematic interventions that ensure students receive additional time and support for learning when they struggle, and extend and enrich learning when students have already mastered the intended outcomes.
That was actually one sentence. That was very long. Let's look at another one. This is something that's written in steps, pretty much the same thing. I mean, we look at data. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go back here. We look at data. We select a standard. Then we decide like what needs to be done. Where's the common problem that we're seeing across the school? We design objectives, assessments, and then and I would love to do visitations and debriefs, but we come back and we reflect on what we've done and we see what worked and didn't work. Here's another visual for you guys, the visual learners. We start by asking ourselves, what do our students need to learn? What is the common problem that we're seeing across the school that we could address together? And since we're doing it together, we have to, we come up with strategies that we're all going to share, they're all going to use, and then we all assess the same way as well. So we find out what's happening, and then we evaluate. Here's another one. It's just doing the same thing. And you see here, we're not going to talk about standards today, but we do want to be standards based. But we do a needs assessment. What is the problem? Looking at the data, and the data could be not just data that's from DASIS, like data could be like what we're observing in the classroom. If we're all observing the same thing, it's going to be reflected in DASIS data or in some way. And then we, design these CFA, common formative assessments. I had no idea what that was, but I see it coming up again and again. CFA, common formative assessments. Does anybody know why we would design a common formative assessments after we have the strategies and the objectives? Why a common formative assessment as opposed to a unique formative assessment?
당신 저기가 있어야 되는데.
Okay, let's use her.
Well, the student changes teachers, levels, etc. You want something uniform that's transferable across the board.
Exactly. We don't know if it works unless we don't know if it works for everybody unless we're assessing it the same way. So that's why we don't use a unique. That's why not everybody assesses it their own way. We're going to come up with some kind of assessment that we're going to use across the board when we try out one of these strategies that we select. Here's another one that's just very blunt. Analyze data. We decide what we're going to do. We implement it. And then we have some kind of reflection. I don't think we're going to do it this year, but I would love to have classroom visitations. I'd love to be able for you guys to visit each other, see what you other are doing. You could learn from each other. Maybe you could give each other constructive criticism. So this is the PLC process. So, I mean, if it was like a TV series, every episode would start with, a teacher saying, I got this problem in my classroom. And then we would discover that it's a problem across the board. We would see that it's backed up by data. We would select the standard, and then we would come up with some kind of strategy to address it. We would have some kind of assessment to see if it works, and we would use the same assessment across the board. And then we would evaluate. We would see what worked. We would make adjustments, and then hopefully this would improve student learning, and we'd have this big celebration. And just as we're celebrating, Tony Allen comes in and says, hey, have you guys seen these Casas reading stores? We have a problem here. And that would set up the next episode of AFOC, the TV series. So does anybody have any questions on the PLC process? Do you guys think everybody can describe what the PLC process is now? No questions? Okay. Well, you guys just received some quality instruction. Let's do a waterfall chat. Yes or no? If pressed, could you describe the PLC process now? I don't want you to hit enter. I just want you to answer this question, yes or no. Take a moment to answer yes or no in the chat, and then wait till I say enter. Yes or no? Could you, if pressed, could you describe the PLC process now? I'm ready. So everybody, can I get a thumbs up if you guys are ready? Thumbs up, ready? No? Okay, some of you guys are off camera, so I can't tell, I can't see a thumbs up. Okay, so yes or no, could you describe the PLC process? Hit enter. Waterfall. Oh, Dana, not really? Okay. So Dana, are you there? My good friend?
Kind of, sort of. Yes. You analyze data. Yes,
So we analyze data, and the data could be, we're gonna be looking at persistence of this meeting and for future meetings, but I want you guys, not right now, but start thinking about like, what problems do you see that you would like to see addressed in this PLC that you think is a problem across the school? Just start thinking about that. And I'm so grateful that we have Tony and Long on this Zoom, because they're data people. So they might be someone who could like bust into this meeting right now and say, hey guys, haven't you seen this? And then we, you know, faced with this problem, we would try to come up with strategies, and we would implement them together, and then we would assess them together, and then we would come back and see how it went. Does that, how does that work, Dana? Be honest. Does that help at all? Dana? Yes, okay. Thanks, Dana. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to look at data analysis. We're going to just revisit this. It's without data, this is Dave Coleman's favorite person, unless in case you didn't know. Without data, you're just someone with another opinion. I just want to go to the Jamboard because I thought, yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but we did the Jamboard last time, and we did this. You know, what you wondered and what you noticed. I looked out back. We kind of like glossed over it. I went over it later, and I thought you guys wrote some great observations, like, you know, why 25% of students who enrolled didn't show up. And a lot of it was, and a lot of what you were noticing and wondering, you were saying, a lot of you guys were saying, well, I noticed that we're, you know, meeting our enrollment and persistence goals, but we're still not where we were before the pandemic. Let me go back to this. So let me get my little annotation tool. Yes, because before, I mean, before the pandemic, you see, we were like 6.5% didn't show up, or 6.3. Now it's like 20% don't show up. I mean, it's gone down a little bit from 2021, but it's still, you know, we got a lot of people not showing up. And we were talking about it yesterday at the summit, and Mr. Alcaraz was saying that, you know, maybe it's the profusion of online courses. With the online courses, you have a greater amount of eggs. I mean, looking at this data, I mean, enrollment, this is something that, you know, that's out of your hands. That's something that we do, that admin does. That's kind of like just what's generally going out there. Persistence is kind of like a little bit more what you guys do. Well, first of all, before I continue, does anybody have any comments or anything that they want to share or say, or because you got what?
Yeah, I just find it interesting, and it happens more and more now than it ever has, where people, you know, you'll have somebody in your class, they'll either never show up at all, or they show up once every 2 weeks or so, and you call them up and you say, you know, where have you been? Well, I work at those times. Why did they sign up for a class when they work at those times? I mean, do they think they can just show up once a month and then float in and float out? I mean, I'm not being critical. It just, you know, it doesn't sound like it makes an awful lot of sense.
Well, I think for some people, it's like that gym membership that they buy and they never use, you know.
Yeah, but that's not restricted to the hours when they work. They can go whenever they want or not go whenever they want. But if you know you work till 9 o'clock at night, why are you signing up for a class from 6 to 8:45?
Right.
I feel like I could answer that. Well, for a lot of my students, I think it's money's tight, and some of them don't have regular work. So if they get a call and somebody says, hey, I got some construction work for you to do out of the blue, they're not going to say no to that, because that would be saying no to money. But I think initially when they sign up, if they don't have any a current job that they're working during that time, then yes. But I think that's the reason. That's my opinion. I think they get a phone call where somebody says, hey, we got work for you. Can you work? And then they're like, oh yeah, because, you know, they've got to make money. I think that's my opinion. That's what I think. That's why I think that happens.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, persistence, like once you get in the classroom, we could talk about strategies and stuff that we can do, but like, what could we do before they get to the classroom that we could increase that number, that we could get the number below 20%, say. I think one thing is, that's out of your hands that maybe, the advisors and I should really get together and talk about our onboarding more, like maybe really take a look at what we're doing and make sure it's uniform, that we're all doing the same thing. Is there anything that, well, first of all, I just want to do a little poll here. And the reason why I like polls is because it's kind of, hold on a second.
Well, I mean, while you look for the poll, Ms. Shawaya had a good idea, or that's something that she's doing at Jefferson. She's encouraging the students as they register to buy the textbooks. So that way, if the students have already invested, some of the money, the probability of them returning, since they already invested money, is greater than if they just show up to class, don't buy any textbooks or anything. So because if there was nothing invested, then most likely they will not return.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's something I'm going to actually talk to our office techs too, that we should talk to our office techs if they're registering students. Yeah, I just launched a poll. I love the poll because it's anonymous. Just be honest. I'm going to know who voted yes, or nobody's going to know who voted yes or no. Okay, so we have 15 voting so far, 16.
And also we have a guest, with user. Please, rename yourself or write your name in the chat so that way we could take attendance.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to end voting right now. Let's see, share the results. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm surprised how many of you contact students before they show up. That's great that 82% do that. And also, definitely make use of your advisors and your office techs. We are more than happy to call students for you, really help. I mean, our job is support you guys. So if you need students called, we can find out who they are. You could just give us a list. And I'm also actually surprised that 41% of you contact your students before your first class. Does anybody want to share out like how they do that? Any one of the 41%? How do you, actually, why don't we do this? I actually had a breakout room thing here that we could do. Mr. Alcaraz, could you put that, a second, go back. Yeah, could you put that second one in the chat? Why don't we do this? We'll do this for maybe 5 minutes since we have so many people that contact their students before the class. I wasn't going to do this, but let's do this. I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms, and whatever breakout room you are in, go to the page in the Google Doc and see if you could work with your group and just chat down what strategies, methods you use to communicate with your students before they arrive to class. And there's not a ton of different strategies that you could use, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. But Mr. Alcaraz, did you put the link in the chat? I haven't checked yet. Let's see. Are you there, Mr. Alcaraz, or no?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. You have that document.
Let me, okay.
It's the one that says hatch those eggs. You know what I'm talking about? It's
no, I don't know if you had gave me access to it, because I'm trying to log in into
yeah. Let me
the Google Doc.
Hold on a second. Let me I'll just put in the chat here. Hold on. You guys can see it. So I just put in the chat. So I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms. Just why don't we do this for maybe 5 minutes? See if you could, what, you know, because we have the 41%. Okay. So how do you deal with contacting your students before the class? What exactly do you do? And hold on a second here. Okay, so I guess we'll do 5 breakout rooms. I'm just going to assign you guys automatically. And to whatever breakout room you're in, go to that page and start working with your group to jot stuff down. I'll give you 5 minutes. Here we go.
Hello, user? Who's user?
It could be Mr. Carvalho. Who is user? Adam, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so how's it going so far, you think?
Going good, man. Going well. I just don't enjoy it because I don't want to take up too much of the conversation or whatever, you know? It's really more about the teacher, so.
Right.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna visit some rooms and see what's going on. I don't see
All right, man.
anybody writing anything.
Called him. Got it.
So are you
about
guys
you,
okay? You guys know what we're doing?
I believe so. What strategies, methods do
Yeah,
we use
yeah.
to communicate with our
Okay.
students before they arrive? Is that right?
Yeah, so I guess, okay, so why don't you guys share a screen, start writing? I'll give you like a 2 or 3 more minutes.
Okay, well, Lauren and Victor didn't go yet. What do you guys do?
Well, for myself, I call up students one time before, like I
It's not actually, because you already have the worksheet and you can put it in Schoology right away, give them the chance to work on it. And you can just work on it also together on the day off.
So you don't have that problem with keeping them 10 feet apart, like
I would go and send messages through by cell phone and just tell them who I was, and yeah, and I would tell them about downloading the Remind application. But that was only when, like Mr. Seaman said, when we were online. Now I'm in person.
Sometimes. Yes, Mr. Weiss, we were just talking about the 3 of us really never contact people before. And often we don't even have the list before the class starts.
Okay, that's fair.
So
enough.
there. So
that's an issue. And then even I was saying, sometimes I'm getting a new student a couple hours before the class that night, you know, so sometimes it could be very quick just to even hear
right
that a student is coming.
Okay, I'm gonna go to breakout room 4.
Oh, they're fun.
I offer them a rapid test so they could stay. And I sell like, 3 to 5 books a night.
Wow.
Because I tell them, you have to invest in your education. And if you don't buy the book, that means you're not really serious. But if they are serious, then they will
Make that investment, yes. Correct.
So,
So
what
the-
do you
Go ahead.
what do you do with Hilton?
I would, if I don't have a student not showing up, I call them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they would either tell me something similar to what Mr. Torres said. My work schedule just changed and I cannot, I have to go to work. So I hear that a lot because they do a lot of construction, and like he said, if they get a job, they
Okay, we're 3 minutes behind schedule.
Hello, Mr. E. Oh, good morning.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Oh, it's still, oops, I'm sorry.
Right, we're recording, by the way, Mr. Vincent, I'll have you know.
I'm so tired.
Okay.
Spring break or Thanksgiving, it drops.
Well, I don't think anybody really wrote much on the doc, so screw that.
We just
Okay, so did anybody? Well, we're a couple minutes behind schedule. So does anybody have any really best practices that they want to share about how they contact students before the class starts?
Well, and this was the general rule of thumb. Most of us did, some don't. I send, Danny does too. I think Victor does. I think Victor calls them, but I send out a mass remind prior to the start of class, and most of them respond. And then you give them a welcome thing. You know, this is your teacher. Welcome to my class. The first class is on. You share your contact information. If I don't hear back from them, I call them before the start of class to find out if they got the remind and, can they please respond to it and whatever.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Dave Coleman during his office hours, because it's like, I mean, once they're in the classroom, it's really your wonderful teaching and personalities that keeps them there. But how can you get them there before the class already starts if you're not teaching it? And what he suggested is make a welcome video. And maybe that's something we could do at our next PLC. In other words,
I did that when we were doing online. I did that all the time.
Right. So in other words, when we register, when the advisors or office techs register people, we could send out your welcome video. It would be like 20 seconds. Maybe something that we could do, maybe the next PLC. Too bad Mr. Young isn't there, because I heard he had some training when he did distance learning, but we would talk about it a little. You would make the video during the PLC. So in other words, you turn off your camera, leave the Zoom room, come back in a half hour with a 20-second welcome video. And again, this, I love polls because it's anonymous. So I'm just launching this. Would you like to make a welcome video next time if we have the PLC? How do you feel about that? Yes or no?
Eric, would you would send it out as you register them?
Yeah, either a QR code or a link to a YouTube thing, and they would see it. And
yeah, if they can access, because when we were working online, everyone was tuned into Schoology, and that was just part of your Schoology course. The welcome video was the first thing at the top of the page. But if they're not, they got to be hooked into Schoology immediately, then it would be accessible to them. If it isn't, because Remind won't, you can't connect Google videos with Remind anymore, it will reject it. So, you know, you have to make it accessible. Making a video is great, but they have to be able to access it and see it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking a YouTube video. It would be uploaded to YouTube, and people who could view it, people who get the invitation, you know, when we register them, we could send out a QR code or a link. So let's see, has everybody voted? We have 13 of 19 so far.
Yes.
Let's see, give it like 10 more seconds.
If you help us to do it.
It's not hard.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, if we did do this next time, we would, you know, we would definitely give you support. We would talk about like how to do it, what we would do. We would talk about what information you would want to put in the video. You know, it's not like you're telling your life story. It's like, here I am, you know, it's like 20 seconds, you know, and not going into your philosophy or something like that, just so they can see the face. And we would, you know,
Mr. Weiss, I have a really good one that you can show us an example if you'd like to do it for the next PLC.
Okay.
All right.
That's great. Well, something to think about. We have 30% that wouldn't be that crazy about it. If you did participate, if we did do it next time, you wouldn't have to share it, but it's something to think about. You know, it's something that we could produce during the PLC. So I'm not like asking you, you know, go off and make a video. What I'm proposing is that we use the PLC to make the video, that we have like support. We go over how to do it. You know, you leave, do it, come back, and we share.
But if you did it as a YouTube, would it be on your own personal YouTube channel, or would it be on a, because I don't, you know, I've got my Gary performing arts stuff. I don't want my class welcome video on my.
Right. Well, I haven't really thought through the particulars. You're waving your hand, Adam.
Yeah, so there was something that was shared. The video, by the way, because I know there's some like issues like how do you get that video out? So I've been playing with this idea. I don't know if anybody's worked with Google Sites. Basically, you can create a website, and I'm working on this for a class. I'm creating a site. It's very easy, very simple to manipulate. I just started on Tuesday. And you could link up a video because you are allowed to put links there. And so anyway, this is something that we might be able to, oh, I'm sorry, this is going to be the syllabus that I'm going to use instead of the old fashioned, you know, paper syllabus. So have a website, give them the link, and in there you could have your welcome video.
Yeah, I mean, making the video was a very easy thing. It's getting it to them so they'll be able to see it.
Yeah, we want to do it so not the whole world can see it, and we want to do it so it doesn't interfere with other stuff like Gary was saying. So anyway, I just throwing it out there. Maybe we'll do another poll. It's something that we'll do at the next PLC meeting. Let me share my screen again.
Yeah, but Mr. Lisi had a comment.
Yes.
Joseph, unmute.
Yeah, I have one that you could show to everyone at the next PLC meeting. It came out really well. That was my comment.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Was it the one from a few years ago?
During the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, most of us did see it. It was good.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about, I'm so thrilled that we had Walter join us now, because we're talking about the 5 themes. We're going to get to the meat of what we're actually here. We're slightly behind schedule. There's 5 themes of persistence. Monica, you did the OTAN training where there's 9 strategies of persistence. I talked to Paul Young at the thing. He said there were 3 drivers of persistence. You know, you could go crazy looking this stuff up. There's the 7 pillars, but we're going to talk about the 5 themes of persistence. It's something that Francisco did down at the central office. Basically, what happened is we have the pandemic, enrollment craters, but some people were weathering it pretty well. So what Francisco did is he targeted those teachers that had really high persistence. He interviewed them, went to their classes, did questionnaires, focus groups, talked to the students, and 5 themes emerged. Who would like to read this for us, the 5 themes? Do I have any volunteers? Anybody who would like to step forward and read the 5 themes for us?
I can do one.
Okay, here we go. Read away.
Okay, equal opportunity in discussions. All students are noticed and have flexible opportunities to participate in both structured and informal discussions. I'll continue.
Yeah, you're gonna read all 5, Maya.
Okay, fine. Number 2, differential approach. All students are provided with a variety of resources and learning activities to be successful based on interest, skills, and goals. Number 3, use of feedback to follow through. All students are given specific and timely feedback as a way to regularly follow through and motivate. Number 4, open communication. Teacher uses multiple modes of communications to support friendly, trusting, and accessible interactions with students and community of students. And the last one, setting goals and expectations. Teacher clarifies expected learning outcomes and specifies how learning will be demonstrated.
Okay, thank you much. Thank you very much, Maya. That was wonderful. So this is my idea that we do this because so we're going to have a jigsaw activity. Okay, we're going to have a breakout room, and each breakout room is going to be assigned one of the 5 persistent themes. And what you're going to do is you're going to come up with strategies that you would use to support your persistence theme. And we have this handout here that Mr. Alcaraz is going to put the link to in the chat. And let's see where. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Second. Yeah, so you're going to have this Google Doc. When you're in the breakout room, you're going to go to this Google Doc, and maybe one of you could share it in the chat, and you would talk amongst yourselves, and you would come up with a persistent strategy, you know, trying to stay within your theme that we could use when we end our PLC today. Now, some of you might be thinking, you know, Weiss, it's the end of the year. Like, what? Why are we doing this at the end of the year? You know, just give me the form and to fill out the X time, I'll be on my way. And my response would be exactly, it's the end of the year. What happens to our attendance at the end of the year after we do the testing? Does it go up or come down?
Goes down.
It goes down. Sometimes it goes down a lot, right?
That's why you put it off as long as possible.
Right. So thinking that, what are some persistent strategies? So let's think context. What are some persistent strategies that we could use to keep students coming back at the end of the year? Try to stay within your theme, but if you can't, that's fine, because we really want to come up with something that's helpful that we could all use together. You might want to think task-based or project-based if you're at a loss, but try to within your theme, what persistent strategies could you use to keep people coming back this last part of the year when we see such a drop off in enrollment? Any questions?
Where's the link?
Okay, the link, Alejandro, did you put the link in the chat?
It's not there yet.
Okay, hold on.
No, I haven't been able to log into the Google Drive.
Oh, really? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, so.
Hold on.
I had a question just for clarification. When you said that there's a drop off at the end of the year, are you talking about like the last month or the last semester?
I'm talking about the last few weeks of class after we do the testing. You know, as Gary says, like when I was a teacher, I would try to test as late as possible, or try to get them to think that after the testing they should still come for it to pass, because after they do the testing, a lot of students stop coming.
Then why don't we just make it a rule that we should hold off to the end to do the testing? Why do we do the testing so early?
So we can get the results and register students for the next term.
Well, still, you've got a leeway of a few weeks. I mean, we only have you don't have to do it the first day that's suggested. I mean, you push it off as long as you can.
Well, keep in mind for this, semester, the starting testing is on the 23rd. So technically, we're gonna have only 1 week after the testing.
Right. So you just, yeah, I mean.
Well, no, technically 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and with CASA's test, it's not as I mean, I did it already. They didn't say, "Oh, we took the CASA's test. See ya, bye." It's nobody cares. I mean, it was different when we did the non-CASA stuff. But now that we're doing CASA's, we do it all the time anyway. So they're not going to not come because they took a CASA's test a week ago.
I also think that, I'm sorry, but I also think that if we keep them engaged, they're going to come, and no matter the test, they have to, being engaged has them coming.
And plus, so you can explain to them, okay, the CASA's test is for the funding, the EL Civics is for something, but the most important is the promotional, and delay the promotional.
Yeah, but the CASA's basically is the promotional. I mean, that you don't, so you just don't deal with it that much. You just give it and you move on and you keep them motivated and chug along.
Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about maybe adopting a strategy across the board that we could use to keep them motivated. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand what we're doing? Or I guess, can I see a thumbs up?
Again, where's the link?
The link I just put in the chat. Do you see it? Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I just sent a direct message just to Maya. Okay, so now everybody has the link. Not just Maya, but everybody else. So, does everybody understand what we're about to do here?
Mm-hmm. Will the breakout room be assigned to one of the strategies?
Yeah, so, right. So if you go to the Google Doc, let me go back to the Google Doc. So breakout room 1 has strategy, has theme number 1, breakup 2 as theme number 2.
Okay.
So try to think of a context at the end of the year that you think that students would really like. Hold on a second. I'm going to open up the breakout room again.
So Eric, we just have one of those strategies.
One of those strategies, but if you guys are totally stumped, look up in the internet. If you're totally stumped, after look up just try to come up with a strategy that you really think would be a really good best practice to use with a class at the end of the year to keep them coming. Okay, so I'm going to any other questions before I open up the breakout rooms? Okay, here we go. I recreated them, so you'll be with different people this time. So what do you think?
It's good, man. It's going fine. You're getting participation. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
They're really the ones that are going to lead this,
Right. Yeah, I love Gary's participation.
Yeah.
Questioning me. No, that's good. Keeps me on my toes.
No, yeah, I think it is good.
Yeah, I don't know why Alejandro's having issues logging into Google Drive. He instant messaged me about it too. I don't get it.
It's weird. Is everybody filling out the Google Drive, like the 1 through 5, or what are we doing?
Okay, Stephen is writing something in 1. Oh yeah, so they're starting to write something, yeah.
Computer's lagging.
Yeah, so that's probably Can I call you? Okay.
Oh, Mr. Lee, let's see. Let's put you in room 3, Mr. Lee. Yeah, Mr. Lee, why don't you join room 3? Mr. Lee, can you hear me? Mr. Lee? Okay. Yeah, 1 and 2 are doing stuff, but 3, 4, and 5. I'll give them a few more minutes and I'll check.
Send out a message. Send out a message to the groups. Can you hear me, Weiss?
Yeah, I'm looking at how to do it. I think I'll just visit them in a couple minutes.
Okay. Isn't there a way, like when you go to the breakout rooms, I think you could select broadcast message.
Well, I'm looking at that now. You can broadcast, but it's broadcast to all. There's no.
Yeah, just broadcast it to all. Just so that way everybody knows.
Oh, what do I say?
Just a reminder to please fill out.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I'll just go and visit a couple minutes because it's like this.
Okay. My Zoom is lagging out. Something's slowing down my system.
Huh.
I don't know what it is.
Would you recommend that computer you got?
I'm sorry?
Would you recommend the computer you got? Because you got a really good price on it, right?
I love my computer. Yeah.
And it only costs how much?
It was probably about 12 or 13.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a lot less expensive. Okay.
No. Well, you know what? It's funny. I think the keyboard is really expensive too.
Okay.
I think it was like 200 just for the keyboard. But I'm actually thinking about upgrading. I might go to something at 2000, just so I don't run into this little issue. But only because I'm running more stuff on it now. I want to get some more RAM. It's a few years old though. It's not like, you know, brand new. But I love it. I love my computer.
Okay, I'm going to go to room 5. Let's see this. And nobody.
Plus you're exposing them to what you just said at the same time. But, you know, I mean, even one of my students said to me today, she said, you know, I said the same thing. I mean, I have iron deficiency anemia right now. I mean, half the time I feel like passing out, but you feel much worse if you're lying on a sofa. You know, when you go to class, you get motivated, even if you're, you know, dealing with these physical things. And some of my students are my age, meaning they're not spring chickens. And they said, teacher, when we stay in our houses, it's so boring. We feel sad, we feel bored, we feel tired. They said, when we come here, we have such a good time. I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just out of curiosity, how often do you guys stay in your classroom during break?
I'm in there most of the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, by the way I'm talking, how often do you think I'm in my classroom during break?
You're probably in there every day.
Correct. In the 10 years I've been situated at AFOC, I have had break with colleagues a total of once. And I don't plan on repeating that.
I don't really hang out with colleagues during break, but I do leave all the time. But I'm leaving because I'm leaving to make copies. and I'm leaving if I gotta use the restroom.
Right, yeah, well, that's a human thing, but I mean,
Well,
but,
think
and
about jotting down some strategies. I'm just gonna leave you guys, but keep engaged. But keep on thinking if you could write something down in the Google Doc. Okay.
Gary, you want to do some bullet points? Who's
I know, it's just a very funny bit, but they don't make them anymore. They were great tapes.
Oh, that would be great to have them again. I wonder if they're going to make it in the
They were
future.
really, really good. They were only, I think they had it for 1 and 2. Yes.
But you have the CDs now, right? With the books.
Yeah, these are CDs, but these were actually videotapes. They were like you were watching. It was called side-by-side TV is what it was called.
Or what do you guys go into the doc at all, or?
No, we didn't go in, but we talked about things.
Okay, well, go to the doc, or at least do the strategy, or go to the themes, or at least think of something to teach you strategies in the year.
Since you came up with the idea, why don't you? She had a very good idea. That was
Well,
very
I
good.
mean, this is something that Dave Coleman shared with me. If you want to riff on this, he said he assigned each student a state, and this is something you could do on all levels, and that student has to research and write about that state. If it was like a level 1, they'd make a poster. If it was like level 6, they would write a few paragraphs. That's something that's a project that they could do at the end of the year. Maybe if you want, like, put that in the Google Doc.
You know, many years ago when they used to do, they had a Latino Heritage Month or whatever, and they had every class, all our classes had to make bulletins, remember? We all made bulletin boards, and we all did a country, and then it was put up in the cafeteria, and we all did like a walk around.
Yeah, like maybe think about doing something like that, and that's something you could do, like the PLC could do as a group, because it could do across levels. Okay, I'm going to visit another
else
one.
write it in, because I'm bad at writing.
Yeah, go to the Google Doc and write it in. Okay, I'm going to go to another one.
We had some great ideas. The only thing that I was thinking that we were going to share after this.
We are going to share, but put it down in the Google Doc.
Oh, okay.
Like write down your great ideas in the Google Doc. Can you guys access it?
I couldn't access it, Mr. Wise.
Can you access it, Ms. Costa?
You know, I'm trying. If I access it, I will lose my Zoom on this computer.
What about you, Dana? Can you access it? I'm just putting in the chat again.
See, but it says Gary's writing in it on number 4. I thought we were number 4.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Which breakout room am I in?
Are we
again?
number 3?
We're 4.
Yeah, you're number 4. Is Gary writing?
Somebody just wrote all over it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, they have 4. Why don't you write in 5 then?
I'm gonna pretend we wrote that one.
They're writing something. Yeah, why don't you write 5? Can you access it, Dana?
I think so.
Well, if you're in it, you can access it. Why don't you try sharing it with the group? Try sharing it with your group.
Mr. Wise.
Yeah.
When I click on the link, it tells me you need access, request.
Yeah,
access.
so you have to have your browser logged
Judy
into your.
just got on it. I just saw your name on it.
You have to have your browser logged onto your LAUSD account. I was talking about.
I just saw you writing on it, Judy.
Oh, I opened it.
Yeah, I saw
it.
Okay, Judy, see if you can share it with everybody else. So if you're in your browser, Miss Hilton, it's on the upper right-hand corner. Click on that. You can see. I think you're logged. You're either not logged into your browser with your LAUSD account or logged onto your personal email. Oh dear. Yeah, can you share it, Miss Acosta? Or
Let me my computer. It's tiny, so let me.
Okay.
Let me see if I can.
If I share it, can she still write on it? Yes.
Go ahead. You can share it.
There it
Can
is.
you see it?
Yes.
Okay, now you can write on it still though, Judy. You can still write on it. Up, see now, Lauren. I just saw Lauren's name.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go to another breakout room.
Okay.
So you gotta speak English to be able to help your friend or girlfriend, boyfriend. So this is the only opportunity. If you don't want to come to school today, you don't want to come to school next day. If you don't want to come to school next day, you want to miss the next week. If you want to miss next week, the whole year, you don't want to come back to school, then you'll miss the good opportunity.
Yeah, that's so true.
There's a sermon. I give them the sermon.
So
Now,
you do
then-
motivational speeches.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
are
that's
you
right.
guys writing down strategies on the Google Doc?
I
think
did.
Mr. Seidman is doing
Oh,
it.
really? Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't write down everybody's,
Oh, I see. You're doing one. Okay.
but I've been listening.
Okay.
I've been doing the ones that really interest me. But I
Well,
didn't.
Go ahead, write those down and then we just turn that in.
Okay.
mm,
Okay. I'm going to go to another group. Do you guys have any questions or?
No, we're
Okay.
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 I'll try and write some more
Do you
things
guys need more
said.
time or how do you guys feel? Do you
Pretty
need more-
good.
Do you need more time?
Yeah, I think we can talk about some more stuff. Sure.
Okay. 5 more minutes, you think?
That's good.
Do 5 more
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
100% of everything. So, and some students had over 600 hours.
There's two
For-
ways. There's 2 ways, Alcaraz. There was a switch on the sections when they moved Reyes. You have to be careful.
I haven't seen that in a while.
How are you guys doing? Do you need more time or how's it going?
It's going well, but
Is writing on your theme.
Mr. Alcaraz asked us a couple questions.
Do you need more time or have you guys thought of some strategies or what do you guys think?
I think I already said, I think Mr. Alcaraz recorded my strategies.
Okay. So do you guys need more time or how are you guys feeling?
I think we're ready, to be honest with you.
Okay. Let's see. I'll check on another room.
Yeah, so
Hey, Weiss.
but that has been
recording
addressed.
now. Oh, wonderful.
Interpret that. Okay.
Mr. Weiss.
How are you guys doing? Do you need more time or how's it going here? You guys are being very productive.
I mean, yeah, as you notice, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
This is a really good group. Everybody has great insight. Yeah.
Wonderful. Do you need 5 more minutes or a few more minutes? Are you guys done, do you think?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here's back. Okay, Mr. Weiss, so everybody's supposed to be answering the 4 questions, right?
Yeah.
Or
Bring it back in 2 minutes. It seems like people are kind of like pretty much on task right now. I think I'll bring the back. I think I'll wait 30 seconds and I'll 2-minute warning. I know we're behind schedule here at the time.
well, technically, this one is supposed to be by isn't it
2:40.
2:40? So it's 2:35.
Right. I just gave them the 2-minute warning.
So, and that means that we're gonna have another PLC meeting before the end of the school year?
I don't, maybe. I mean, I was thinking we have one maybe on the 27th or even maybe the 10th. What about the 10th? The last.
Come on,
Are you, you're looking at the 10th, right?
Not that late.
Huh?
No, that's gonna be my last day. I don't want to be
Okay.
that late.
Maybe the
No, Weiss, you
27th?
can't do on the last day, man. What's wrong
No,
with you?
no, Mr.
Or,
White, I don't
or
think that
maybe,
will
I
be
mean,
wise.
maybe the 3rd. I was thinking the 3rd. I don't know, the 27th or the 3rd. I don't know.
Oh, okay. See, that's, I would say, more reasonable.
Maybe meet for an hour. I don't know. It depends if we have an, I want to come away with a strategy that we're going to use.
So probably the 3rd. So that way they will have 3 weeks to implement whatever it is that we're gonna come out with, or they're gonna come
Right.
out with. So that way we'll see if there's if it's working out. Yeah, because
Okay, so we're back. So the idea is that we're going to choose a strategy that we want to use, that we're going to use together for the end of the year. So I'm going to share the screen. Okay, so here we are. This is the Google Doc. So breakout room number 1. Does anybody from breakout room number 1 want to share some of the best practices you were talking about?
I think another group was typing on our thing. Did more than one?
We did.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
we did
happening.
because they told us we were number 4.
You were infringing on our territory. Okay,
We were
maybe-
4.
We were not respecting Google Doc boundaries. That was for sure. Does any? But
maybe we were in the wrong one. But
well, who's the breakout room 1? Does anybody from breakout room 1 want to share?
I'll go ahead and read it. Mr. Seidman and Mr. Luis and Mr. Lee were and I were together.
Okay.
Besides calling on all the students, we try to give students time to work together in pairs, groups, and mixers. Do dictations usually at the end of class, word walls, motivational speeches, room decorations, short documentaries, and have students make presentations about pictures that they draw from the documentaries. Put students work on the walls, build communities so students want to come to class, and have potlucks with themes. For example, St. Patrick's, where they had to bring something green, a food that was green.
Okay. Okay, interesting. I think you were in breakout room 3, right, Marjorie?
I'm sorry, I when I opened it up, it put me 1. It
Okay.
gave me number 1. So
Yeah,
maybe
you had
I
to
should
scroll down.
Okay, I didn't know that. Sorry.
We did one.
Well, okay, breakout room 2, you guys wrote down a lot of stuff. Who was in breakout room 2?
All right, I can read it.
Okay.
There's a differentiated approach. What ways do you make projects, activities, and assignments engaging for students? We said to make activities relevant to their lives, that they learn something that they can use in their daily lives right away. We cater activities to individual needs and strengths. When making groups, we try to assign stronger students with students who aren't doing as well in class. Also, in Zoom classes, we'd like to have more talkative students with shyer students, so if they actually in breakout rooms are talking. We also try to use Burlington, YouTube, and other resources to reinforce our lessons. And we use Join My Quiz and Kahoots to engage students, and both of those are now team-based, which makes them more fun.
Okay, great. I never heard of Join My Quiz before.
Neither have I.
Who uses that?
Mr. Correas.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good tool, Danny.
Yeah, but I actually got it from Miss Choed. She's the one who told me about Join My Quiz. But it is a fantastic option to go if you don't want to always overload your students with Kahoots. Yeah.
So briefly, how does Join My Quiz work?
Very similar to Kahoots. You create an account. You can create a free account, and you have access to pre-created lessons or games. The only difference is that the game is on their phone. So they see the questions and the answers on their phone. And if you do a team-based game, they can help each other out, and they all sit in their little team groups, and the stronger students finish quicker, and then they go and help the other teammates. It just makes it fun, and they enjoy it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to thank Miss Joette. She's the one who pointed that one out.
Okay, and she's
pointed me towards join my quiz. Yeah.
and she's here on the Zoom still. Hi, Miss Joed. She's here, right? Okay.
I'm a Quizlet Live guy.
Quizlet is another great tool. Okay, so we didn't have use of feedback. Who was doing 4?
Okay, that's the one that they crashed our territory.
Okay.
That was us. Sorry about that. It was myself, Miss Acosta, and Mr. Vincent.
They started peeking in our windows.
Oh, we're so sorry.
Well, does anybody want to go over this, what was written for 4?
Yeah, there was one thing that I brought it up to my group that actually it came from my students, and it's something that I think they planted an interesting seed. Like students will ask me more about the CTE programs. And obviously, you know, I'm teaching level 3. I think it might be something to incorporate more showcasing the CTE programs, even bringing CTE instructors into the class, just so, because especially as the students are progressing, they want to see furthermore another light at the end of the tunnel beyond just mastering English. And students have been asking more about these specialized programs that we offer, and just making a connection that is in their grasp as long as they continue to learn English. And I think this supports them in wanting to come back to class, especially the following fall, that they have, that these CTE programs are in the horizon.
Yeah, that's great. Like what level are you teaching when students are asking you this, Mr. Mong?
Well, I teach a level 3, so they're really curious at that point, how, you know, because they're at that midway point where where can I take this English? But even I think a level 1, maybe a bilingual instruction, just to see that how relevant these CTE programs are to their lives and to their futures.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because that is a question that people are asked, that students are asking once they get into intermediate level. Where can I take this English? Because you know the past, present, and future. And if you don't have a goal, then you're probably less likely to come to class, because you have what it takes to get by, and it's reflected in our enrollment numbers. You see the classes are bigger in the lower levels, and then once you get to intermediate and upper levels, it kind of drops off. That's an excellent point.
And one more thing I kind of thought of too, when talking about level 4, was this might be a little bit of a stretch, but just like in high school, college, middle school, when say an 8th grader is going into 9th grade, sometimes they get the upcoming curriculum, they get the upcoming literature, and maybe that's a head start to have incentive to come back.
Right, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we also talked about whether it's the beginning of the trimester, the end, or the middle, you have to keep the class interesting and fun and have them working in groups and or pairs on a regular basis, because just sitting, as much as you may love the sound of your own voice, that they can't just listen to it for 4 hours and 15 minutes. They have to be working with each other, and that's what they really enjoy. If it's a meaningful and a fun thing, and you have to vary the activities and change every 15 minutes or so, and that's what they really like to do.
Yeah, that's great. So we have 15 minutes left. I want us to come up with strategy that we can use together. So I heard a couple of things well, first of all, does anybody else want to talk about their strategy before I continue? Okay, so hold on a second here. So I was thinking maybe we could, the short time we have left, we could come up with a strategy that we could use together. And I was thinking, just listening to you guys, group projects, working in groups. What if we all decided upon a group project that we could implement in our class the last few weeks of class? And like Mr. Mong had this interest. So basically what this would be was a group project where you could do across levels. So in other words, this would be, if it was lower levels, it would be more like a poster with visuals. If it was upper levels, you would write a paragraph about it. So Mr. Mong was talking about CTE. What if we had a program, what if we had a group project where each group would do a poster or write a paragraph about one of our CTE programs? They would go to, they would research it, maybe talking to an instructor or going to the website and getting information. And from there, either writing a poster or writing a paragraph in the upper levels. Another example of this, when I was talking to Dave Coleman, is doing a group project where each student would be assigned a state and they would write about their particular state. If it was lower levels, again, it would be a poster. Upper levels, there would be more language involved.
What about a guest speaker from, if you discuss exposing other classes in the future to whether it's ESL students or whatever, what about utilizing those instructors as guest speakers for the other classes?
Well, that's great. And we're, and actually, I'm organizing a field trip for 4 to 6 students to visit AFOC and see all the programs.
We heard in our groups.
Yeah, but what about, what's a project that students could do together, that all the classes could do? We have states, we have CTE. Is there another kind of group project, thinking along those lines, that we could all implement the last few weeks? Just what did you put in, Adam?
I was just addressing Mr. Mong's idea, because we had a field trip planned, an assembly planned, and a field trip planned from Jefferson to go visit the CTE programs at AFOC. And we had our assembly, and the day that the district came out and said, hey, we can't have more than 50 in a space or in an area, we just minutes, I mean, I'm talking about like 10 minutes prior, we had to cancel it. So yeah, Mr. Mong, I think it's a great idea, but yeah, we were so close. And I think there's something really valid about trying to connect those two fields, the ESL, because you're right, they start at 3, they can start getting involved in some of these CTE programs. But anyway, I'm throwing that out there because that was something that we almost did. We didn't look into doing it this year. I don't know, maybe next year, we can do that and piggyback on something like that.
That's a great thought. Does anybody else have any other thoughts?
Well, maybe in the community, the library. Remember a couple of years ago, we went to the library. And
that was fun.
That was fun, and they really enjoyed it, and they got to see, they didn't know that that central library was available.
Well, that's something
something for them, but we would need transportation.
We don't have the walnut dinosaur anymore. They took
you have the local branches. When I was at AFOC, I did a library field trip to Pico Union. When I was at Belmont, we would go to the Echo Park Library. When I was at Jefferson, we would do field trips to the Vernon branch. So that's another thing that we could do. You guys could organize a field trip, you could go to the main library, but you could also just walk it or take a short bus ride to the local library and do a field trip. That's something else that we could do. That's an excellent idea. Does anybody have any other ideas?
Another kind of group project, and I saw this actually when I was teaching in Venice. I forgot the name of the teacher, but it was like an inter-class presentation where one class, it could be the whole class or groups within that class, go to each other class and give a presentation, whether that's a state, whether that's their country, and just have that movement between classes and have like inter-class presentations.
Okay, that's another great idea. Anybody else have another idea?
My students like going to Ms. Chavoya's class when they were promoting last trimester, and we went to visit, and it was nice. She gave us a nice welcome, and they got to learn her style. So they were like scared, and I said, no, she's a great person. Let's go see it. Let's go see how she teaches. She was very warm and nice. So we were, for the last 2 weeks before my students moved into her class, we were implementing her procedures. let's do some writing on the board, because she emphasizes writing on the board, and you have to go to the front, don't be shy. And I would try to encourage them and to get used to her style, because but that it was great. Thank you for the invitation, Ms. Chaboya.
You're welcome.
And they were not like the previous class. They wouldn't come every day, Ms. Acosta, because they were used to her style. But I implemented it in my classroom first before they moving on.
Okay, yeah.
My students moving on.
Yeah, I think that kind of like is under the umbrella of Mr. Mong's idea, which is a great idea, having like class to class presentations, you know. Does anybody else have another idea for a project at the end of the year?
Yeah, I know that Mr. Wise, this probably falls more under, classroom community building, school community building type of activity. But in my group, we were discussing about the power of music. Now, granted, I am not a musician at all, no musical skills, nothing. But I know that a couple of years back, I think pre-pandemic, just randomly, I discovered that there was quite a bit of talent in my class. So, the end of the class party turned into this karaoke thing where I had like several singers in the class and they weren't shy, And
We do it every day.
Hey, how about real quick? How about a talent show?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Like a student talent show. You stole my word, Sean. Yeah, that would be
okay.
Cool to
that's
put
an excellent.
together.
I just want to share briefly my experience. We had a graduation ceremony. I suggested, hey, why don't we sing a song for the graduation ceremony? Nobody wanted to do it. I forced them to do it. And then like halfway through the preparation process, they totally took over. They wanted to rehearse more. They had like coordinated outfits that day that they wore. So yeah, you give students the stage, they'll grab it.
Well, that's time consuming though.
So let's do a poll. I'm gonna, because I've been listening to you guys. Let's try to choose, okay, so if you had to choose a group project, I put this up, do we want to do CTE where like your students would research and you would assign them like different CTE programs that they would research and either do a poster or upper levels write about it? Maybe the idea I had the states where students would choose the states. Or maybe we all decide that we're going to do a library field trip with our class, and I could help facilitate that. Or we do some kind of interclass presentation, or we do an interclass presentation where it's like a talent show and classes come together and they sit, we visit Ms. Travoy's class and sing. So what kind of thing would you like to do that we could try out the last few weeks of class? What do you think as a group as a project that we could all implement together in our classes? Okay, we have 12 people voting so far. Maybe we get a few more. Okay, we only have 6 more minutes left, so I'm gonna close the polls in a few seconds. We have 80% participating, 17 out of 20.
I won't vote, that's why,
Okay, so I'm gonna end it right now. End the voting. Let's share the results. And we have a tie between field trip and interclass presentation. Okay, hold on a second. Let's see, hold on. Trying to edit this, it's not letting me. Okay, why don't we try this? Let's vote on it. Who would like to do the library field trip? Can I see a show of hands? And for you off camera, maybe you could 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many do want to do the talent show?
Wait a minute. I have a question. In the past, my level has not been able to go 1A. Never.
Go where?
To the library.
Oh, I can help you with that. You can take 1A to the library. So I'm sorry, let's just vote.
So I didn't vote because of that, because even if I say yes, I want to go and take my students, there's like a rule that they have to be like a certain level and in order for them.
That's not true.
No?
That's not true. I took my 1A students to the library. Yeah, you can take 1A to the library. I can definitely help facilitate that. I've done many library field trips.
How are we gonna get there?
Well, you would contact your branch library and say you want to take your class there. They would say great, but you might have to work out the dates with the local branch library. And again, I could help facilitate it. I could give you the.
But isn't the central one the closest to us? I mean, it's down the street.
No, the closest one to AFOC is the Pico Union Library, and that's the closest one. But you could do the central. I mean, if you could find.
They're not that much different in the distance.
Okay.
Is that Pico Union Library close to Mid City?
It's on the corner of
Yes.
Olympic and Alvarado.
Yeah.
Behind
Okay.
McDonald's. Behind McDonald's.
Very close.
Yeah.
My
So
my class is scheduled for the 26th for the library trip.
yeah, that's great. You're already doing your field trip. That's great, Ms. Hilton. So I'm sorry. I wasn't quite clear. Let's vote again. So who wants to do concentrate on the library field trip the last few days? Can we get a show of hands and I'll.
Well,
Okay,
I guess
1,
be mine.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And how many people want to do the talent show?
All right, that's all.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I guess the library. 8. Okay. So it's very close. So why don't we do this? Let's end it on this. I'm gonna put together information about conducting a library field trip. I'm going to send it to you guys. I really encourage you to do the library field trip, whether you want to do the talent show or not, because I think it's a great resource for your students that they may not know. And
I also want to say that if we went to the library, they have a language lab there. So if they don't come during the summer to summer school, they know that they could go there.
There's those great art displays too and things like that.
Yes.
Central Library. I mean, it's like a museum.
It is. It is.
To just look at that Pico Union one will take 5 minutes.
Okay, so why don't we do this? I'm going to, for those of you who are interested in doing the library, I'm going to send you information about that. And you might, and I'll be talking to you guys too. Definitely contact me and maybe we could coordinate a couple classes going together. But it's something, you could take your own class too. Like if you're at Belmont, when I was there, I would just walk with my students. It's like a 15-minute walk away. And it's a lovely little stroll and the library is great. Happy to have you there. If you want to do the if you would like to do the talent show again, do it. And maybe you could record it and maybe we could see it the next PLC meeting. So why don't we, well, I'm not sure when we're going to meet. Maybe we'll do another poll, but I was thinking if we do meet again this year, we meet maybe the 3rd. So 3 weeks to give you guys a chance to at least not either complete the field trip or complete the talent show, but at least farther along so you could report something when we come back. Does that sound like a plan at 2:59? What do you guys think?
Yeah, you're talking about Memorial Day weekend, or is that Memorial Day weekend? Or
it's not Memorial Day weekend. It's the week after Memorial Day weekend.
What is the date?
I was thinking the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another reason not to do the 27th in 2 weeks because that's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, may not be available that day, but don't.
Right. So if we do it maybe the 3rd, which would be the Friday before the last week.
So are we, Mr. Wise, are we still doing Fridays?
Yeah, that's another thing that we could discuss. We'll do another poll on that because personally, I would rather do it another day. I don't work on Friday. It's my day off.
Yes, please.
Mr. Weiss, is there a sign-in sheet that we can?
Yeah, we got to split it.
Alejandro took roll. Alejandro's here, right? Alejandro?
He was here.
Eric, you don't have the Bitly thing?
No, he was supposed to take a poll.
He isn't here.
Okay, hold on a second. He was supposed to do rule. Oh, hold on a
Put
second.
in the chat.
Well, can we just put our
Yeah,
employee number into
okay,
the
why don't you
chat?
put your name in the chat right now?
Yeah, because we got to split.
Yeah. Put your name in the
Name
chat
and-
right now.
An
I'll
employee
contact
number.
you about the field trip. If you guys want to do the talent show, go right ahead. Oh yeah, Alejandro had to leave. He sent me a private message.
All right, I
Okay.
got to split. Ciao.
Okay.
He took roll already?
Huh?
He took roll already, Mr. Alcaraz?
Yeah, he had some emergency. He had to leave. Oh yeah, so put your name in the thing, chat, and good luck with your talent show, with your field trip. I'll be sending out information about that. If you want to do a library field trip, that's an excellent idea.
Margarita, do you think we get anything that we can turn into Jackie like we did the last time?
Yeah, we're gonna send out.
Yeah. Well, if it's
Okay.
class time, we need to have that filter permission slip signed. And then we also need to have another sheet that says that they release anything against the school. It's in there, Mr. Wise.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sending that to you guys.
Oh,
Um,
that we
did that
attended.
a few years ago.
We
Yeah.
attended the meeting too,
For the meeting,
Yeah, he meant
yeah,
for the meeting. He meant for the payroll, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
for the payroll, I got you. If you put your name in the chat, I'll send you the Jackie slip that you fill out and send to her to get the X time.
Okay.
Okay, well, have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for coming. Good luck with the
Goodbye.
talent show or the library field trip.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
All
Goodbye,
right, thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you.
I'll see you later,
everyone.
Mr. Holon.
Have a nice weekend.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right, take care.
All right, Marguerite. I'll see you, Marguerite.
Yes, have a nice weekend.
You too.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.